Starts right back up. This thing's reliable as hell.
Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome to another video. Thanks for tuning in to Moto Mango. So today we're going to be going over the Kayo K6 EFI, which I just got like 2 weeks ago. This was my first real trail riding experience I did on this bike, and I gotta tell you, it performed way better than I thought it was going to. There's lots of pros, but there's also a few cons, so watch the whole video to figure out what's going on with this bike. Cheers! So to start off, here's some quick information provided by Kayo on their website about the K6. It's a dual overhead camshaft, it's a 4-stroke, it's a 250cc that's water cooled, and it's a 6-speed transmission. This bike actually is really torquey and pretty fast. It really does continue to surprise me how well this bike performs. Okay, so starting with the pros, first off, it's super affordable. I got mine out the door from my local dealer for $5,000, so that's after taxes and dealer fees. If you're looking for any other Japanese, like name brand dirt bike, you're looking at anywhere from like 6, if you're lucky, to like 10K out the door, which is crazy. It's usually more like 7 to 10K out the door, which is a lot of money for an off-road vehicle. Secondly, so far this bike has been super reliable for me. I've only had it for about a month now, but I've been stress testing the heck out of it on the trails and nothing has failed on me yet. I've got about 4 drops and 1 to 2 like fairly hard crashes, and the bike has always started right back up, just as you saw in that intro. The worst damage so far is I slightly bent the radiator on the left side from one of my worst crashes, and then the radiator protector broke because they're just plastic. So another pro that kind of falls under the reliability test is this bike does super well in the rain and in the wet. We went riding on one of the wettest days this year here in Washington, and we had puddles that were like a foot plus deep. It was crazy, and the bike handled super fine in the excess water. It wasn't sucking in water. It was handling completely fine. I was soaked. The bike was soaked. No electrical problems or anything. This bike is super reliable. So while this bike has seemed very reliable so far, another thing that's kind of peace of mind is Kayo actually stands behind these bikes. You get a 90-day warranty buying it from the dealer, where a lot of other race bikes or competition bikes they're called don't get any sort of warranty at all. So you can tell that Kayo actually trusts these machines, and that they put the build quality into it because they're willing to stand behind it. Another nice thing about these Kayo bikes is there's actually a lot of aftermarket support for them. They're compatible with any of the KTM SXF parts from 2016 to 2019, so you can literally just bolt on KTM parts. I just ordered some radiator protectors that are meant for the 2016 XXF, and they just bolt straight on, so super excited about that. Tons of aftermarket support, which is what you want for a dirt bike. And then one of the final pros, which I think is the most important, is they're seriously so fun. They really freaking rip. They've got plenty of power through the gears, lots of torque. You can pop the front wheel up no problem, which is always fun, unless you don't mean to, I suppose. But this bike has kept up with all my buddies who are riding single track. So as far as performance, this bike really does keep up, and it is such a blast to ride. Okay, so now let's move on to the cons of this bike, because obviously it's not perfect. It is made from China. There's definitely some build quality differences, etc. So first off, the rear brake from factory was spongy. I had to bleed the rear brakes and get all the air out of there, which is kind of frustrating when you're buying a brand new bike from the dealer. And that's maybe more on the dealer not going through their bike, but also the bike was shipped like that. I don't really know who's to blame, but that seems kind of crazy that I'm having to do maintenance straight off the showroom floor. So another con was the rear brake pedal just kind of sucked and was hard to find with the MX boots on. Like, it would kind of hide under the clutch cover and was really small. So I ended up replacing it with a KTM compatible brake pedal, and it's so much better. It's like there's a larger surface area and it's much easier to find with my MX boots on. I'll put a link in the description for that part. It was like a $15 part from Amazon, and it was such an easy upgrade that made a big difference. So another thing that was pretty frustrating with this bike was my dealer didn't seem to know much about Kayo, which is kind of concerning. I'm not sure how much work I'll have them do, but if something comes up like through the 90-day warranty, I'm going to have to take my bike to them, and I have my concerns on their competency around Kayo and Kayo part ordering. It just seemed like they didn't know anything about the dirt bike. I asked very basic questions and they had zero answers, and so there's a little bit of concern about that. So I can't speak on this other than that this was an experience relayed to me from a technician that worked at a Kayo dealer in Texas, and he was saying that they had a hard time contacting Kayo for warranty work, and so they would end up eating, warranty work costs. Again, not my experience. This is just what someone told me that reached out to me when I had bought my Kayo. So something to think about as well. And then one of the last cons, which isn't that big of a deal, but the bark busters, they're kind of trash. They break super easily. It's just cheap plastic, and they don't even go from the handlebars to the end of the handlebars. And so I actually did end up breaking one off in one of my crashes. Again, not that big of a deal. A lot of dirt bikes don't even come with bark busters. It's an aftermarket part you usually have to buy. I feel like they should have just left them off if they were going to put on ones that were so cheaply made. I would recommend just getting better ones that have steel or aluminum backing that bolt into the, like the end of your bars, because those are actually going to protect your hands. So in conclusion, this bike may be made in China, but its build quality, its fit and finish, it's absolutely on point. The K6, it's a freaking beast, provides enough power and torque for me. I think it would also provide enough for any experienced rider, but also beginners could probably get away on this bike as well. So if you're in search for a dirt bike, but you're not trying to break the bank, Kayo is a pretty good option.
Big time, no man, diamonds in my teeth.